To our workshop. The purpose really of today for you all is just to start to get you thinking about your creative practice and how that works together with the business side of things. So it's called Into Action. And the way it's going to work is we're going to talk high level about some things. I want to make sure you all get some really kind of practical things to work on as well. Um, but I just the most important thing I think we can do today, and I want you to consider this as we come into the workshop, is I think the most important place to start, and there's many different ideas about this, but I believe the best place to start with learning a new skill set is changing how you see that thing. So one of the things we're going to be focusing on today is a bit around the mindset around business and different parts of business, because I think if there's ever any kind of resistance to something or a concept or a principle or a process, etc., if we can change or reformat the way we see that, I think it's a good place to start. So all that being said, we're going to be talking high level about things, which is around the mindset and how they work, and also practical. But I want you all to think about what's one or two good ideas I can take away from today and implement, as opposed to I need to take everything in and try and do everything all at once, So that's all I would say. So welcome everyone. We're going to have a break in about an hour's time, just 5 minutes. Please, if you need to go to the toilet, put mute or leave your phone at your desk. Don't take it into the toilet, as Catherine warned us. We don't want to hear or see any of that kind of carry on today. So I don't know why I'm freezing. Sorry, team. I just want to make sure you guys can see me. It doesn't matter if you can't see me. I might try and fix it before we start. Well, let me just sort this out, you guys. Sorry. Well, maybe I'll just. Sorry, team. Just give me 2 seconds. I just want to make sure you can see me. You
You
can see
be
me.
now, Hayden. Yep.
Thanks, Catherine. So welcome. Today's workshop is really not going to be dry and boring. It's going to be action oriented and kind of focused on teaching you some really valuable stuff. So it's called Into Action, and the purpose behind it is to create a business practice as strong as your creative practice. Because I know from my own experience as a business owner and an artist, um, and from friends who are also kind of business owners and artists, you know, there is a big business element to this, and even if money is not your motivating factor, I'm sure you'll know the most successful people who are in the arts that in some way or another have a business practice or have a way to promote themselves that they stick to. They're consistent. They're out there in the market. They're talking to people. We aren't. And although it would be nice to do this, we can't just create in our rooms and expect the whole world to take notice, or to happen to have that thing where your neighbor is a producer or gallery owner or something, and they happen to kind of see your work and that happens. It just doesn't really happen that much. So our job today is to really kind of teach you some principles and practices around how to get yourself out there and how to kind of manage that. So it's going to be really fun. Sure you all know who Bob Ross is, and the approach I want to take is a bit more of a hardcore Bob Ross, because I had a conversation with the team yesterday, and we were talking about this idea of, should I push myself now to do the work? And I think and this is an idea I want us to have a think about as we come into this. There's this whole conflict of these two different principles that I've always kind of always had a conflict with myself, which is, should I let the work flow and wait for inspiration to work? Should I go easy on myself and go, I'm just going to wait till the conditions are right to create? Or should I push myself to sit down and start doing something, which then starts a creative process? My philosophy, which I'm going to share with you, is I think for most of you at your stage in business, we can't just say, I'll do my work when I feel like it. I won't push myself. I believe that we need to, if we want to achieve things, we need to have a little bit of a push and a little bit of resistance to that, which says to us, hey, we're doing something to help us grow. Does that make sense, everyone? So I think we can't go too easy on ourselves if we want to see things happen sooner rather than later. That's just my experience. Anyway, I'm Hayden, by the way. Nice to meet you all. And the reason you're talking to me today is because, well, I've been a Wayfind mentor for almost 2 years now, actually, which is crazy. Almost 2 years. But aside from that, I run my own business. I'm doing coaching and teaching and mentoring, which I've been doing for almost 4 years now with Pitcher, which is great. I work just with creatives, but I've been a sales trainer and a coach in my own family business for almost 12 years now. My dad started our company 20 years ago. I worked alongside him for quite a long time. I'm wearing a suit, but what I want to hopefully kind of share with you is my experience both as an artist, which I sell my work in galleries, and I do design work and I sell painting, stuff like that, as well as the business side. So I hope that the way that I approach it for you all is going to be super useful, and it's going to be the best of both worlds. So we're going to be talking today about 4 key things. We're going to be spending a bit of time on productivity because I think that's important. I think the most important thing we need to start with is going, when am I going to do the work? Because if we don't have a process or and I say the word process, which can sound quite rigid, if we don't have guidelines around when we're working, well, we just work when we want to work. And that's okay if you're a hobbyist. But my idea is that all of you are here because you want to create more of a professional practice. So we need a bit of clarity around when we're doing stuff, how we're going to manage our work, if we're working part-time, if we're doing it full-time. So we're going to be talking about productivity. We're going to spend a little bit of time on cash flow, but not a lot, because I think I'll leave that for your accountants in your Henrys and your zeros to talk to you about that. But I'm going to share a couple of principles around that have helped me as a business owner. We're going to be talking about finding clients, and we're going to be talking about pricing as well. But for you all, I just want to make it clear that you're all doing very different things. So I've tried to make this workshop very open and high level. So it's not just here's how to do it as an artist or a producer or an actor, for example. But we will have some time for specific questions around your practice and your niche. So what I want to know, team, just to kind of come into this, and the intro's gone on 15 minutes, but that's good. It's been a good one, hopefully, and got you thinking already. I just want to know into the chat, please, from everybody here. And what I'm going to do is put some sounds on. I just want to know who you are, so your name, what you do. So I'm a painter, I'm an actor, I'm a musician, whatever. And what are you hoping to get out of the workshop? And the reason I'm asking you for this is because I want to make sure that we cover as much as we can and get your answers done. So I'm just going to put 3 minutes on, team, and I just want you to put into the chat who you are, what your practice is, and one thing you want to get out of today's workshop. I'm just going to randomly choose the song. I hope it's good. Sounds okay. Here we go. Hang on, let me choose a different one. That sounds pretty good. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you want to get out of today's workshop, please? Oh, there we go. It's better. And then we'll share quickly, and then I'll get into the meat of today's session. That's probably you, Jacqueline. I think everyone else can see me. Can everyone else see me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I'm
Thanks,
not
Nicola.
a big person, so I'm just wondering, have
Ah, okay. I got a
not
microphone
something
now.
set?
Are we doing it now?
Yes. Into the chat, please, Paloma. Thank you.
Hola. Hola.
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Just into the chat, please. Thank you. I would love to chat to. I'd love to chat to all of you. I usually would, but the group's so big, we don't have time, unfortunately, today. Awesome. Thanks, Penelope. Thanks, Bryce. Ah, yeah, awesome. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Shane. Yeah.
Because there's no the one except God who owns this
Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, Ruby. See yours. Hi, Ingrid. Thanks, Georgia. What do you want to get out of today's workshop there, Georgia? Ah, thank you, Catherine. Yep, thank you. What the heck to do with my skill set? Georgia, can you put in the chat just kind of briefly on what a graphic facilitator does? All right, team, I see some good answers in there. I see kind of most of you have got something in there. Fortunately, I haven't got my little doodad, so I'll do it like this. I'm Penelope. I'm an abstract painter finding clients in a market for my work. Awesome. Bryce, I'm a freelance a creative director, and I want to get inspiration on approaching and finding new work. Yes, and for all of you, I just want to make it clear that two things. This is an interactive and workshop, so as we go through it, please put your ideas into the chat. Any questions in the chat as well, or any thoughts that pop up as we go through this. And also keep in mind that any questions you have after this workshop, make sure you note them down and bring them along to your mentoring sessions as well, because these are some of the things that your mentor can get really kind of practical on with you. Nane, I'm come from a film production background, creating passive income streams. Lee, refining my workflow. I'm a social media manager. Shane, musician. Awesome. Jacqueline, need to start being more assertive. Yes. Ruby, I'm a visual artist and ceramicist, also interested in finding clients. Paloma, photographer and art historian, want to get paid for my work. I'm Nicola, interior architecture and design. Awesome. Marketing and finance. Unique decor. Awesome. Thanks. Ingrid, Georgia, Victoria, Robin. Awesome. All right. Great job, everybody. Let's get into this. And thank you. We're going to be covering kind of most of what you've asked for. And hopefully you'll take away some good stuff. Oh my goodness. Sorry, team. Let me just, Catherine, this is, we haven't done this for a minute and now it's not working for me. Let me just fix this up. Sorry, team. Bear with me.
It was a full moon last night, I think.
I think it was the full moon that made this really not work for me. Here we go. Let's do it like this. Oh, mate. Sorry, Catherine.
Oh, yeah, you're there.
Okay, you guys are just going to have to look at the screen and not see my amazing long hair for just a moment, and I'll get it sorted later because I don't want to waste time on this. Team, one idea I want you to think about is what you do now will compound. So the work you do now will compound for the future. The work you don't do now won't compound, which means that sometimes when and as you're kind of starting to think about these ideas, and this is a big kind of mindset thing, you'll be doing work that you won't get feedback from. You'll be posting content, for example, or you'll be doing outreach, or you'll be creating work that no one sees or no one buys, and you'll go, this isn't working, I should just quit or give up or change it up, which I've had all those feelings before. I guess what you have to know is that what you do now will build your skill set for the future and build your resilience, which is one side of it. And also the other, the other kind of side of it is we have to be comfortable with not getting a lot of feedback in the initial stages, which means I do something and I expect something to happen as a result of that, but I don't always get that. But you have to believe that what you do now will compound, just like when you're learning to do your craft. The crappy first things you made, which we all made, ended up meaning you can now create something really beautiful. So what you do now will compound in the future. And this is why it's important for us to do the work now. Let's talk about time and management, which sounds very dry, but it's actually very exciting in many ways. Time management's important for us, and this really kind of plays into productivity, because what I believe is we need a bit of an urgency in our life, and we could wait until the right things happen or the right circumstances pop up, and we go, now's the right time to do this. But I think we could be waiting forever, because you can make more money, but you can't make more time. So you've got to use the time that's given to you wisely. So here's a few super simple principles just to kind of bring us into this. Eat the big frog first. Now that's a simple concept, but what it really means is, what I want you to think about in your day is, what is the big frog that I don't want to do? Or what's the most annoying thing that I don't want to do today? It could be, I know I should be booking a networking event. I know I should be doing some outreach. I know I should be creating some content. But when you look at your day, and this is a high level idea, but it's an important one. Think about, what is the most challenging thing I have to do today? So I'd love to know in the chat from anybody, what's something you find challenging in your business or in your creative practice to do. Bang that in the chat as we go, please, if you have anything that is front of mind for you. Do the most annoying, frustrating, hardest thing you have to do. Classic one is, I have to call someone on the phone to ask for something, or I have to call someone to ask for an opportunity, or I have to email someone that I find really uncomfortable to do. I found in my business, the best thing to do is do that shitty thing first, because then you get that boost of excitement and momentum from doing something really hard. And then on the other side of that, being able to go, wow, I've done it. So one principle, and if we kind of collect up all these ideas in one, it can end up being a really successful and productive day we have, is look at your day and go, what's the hardest thing I need to do today? I'm going to do that first. And then everything else, and I'm sure you've had this experience before, seems so much easier and more manageable. I'm going to see if I can fix up my camera one more time. Sorry, team. Let me just see if I can fix this real quick. So eat the big frog first. That's a real simple place to start. Now, 3 key things and 3 hats. Now, this is where I'm going to actually get practical with you all. And I'm working now. Beautiful. Now, when we look at our day, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, and we go, where should I start? So if we think we're talking about time management, we're talking about productivity, that's a good place to start. So let me just open up my iPad and I'll show you what this means. So if we go full screen like that, beauty. So if we look at our day, we look at our day, and let's say it's Wednesday. We start our day and we go, what's my big frog today? And for a lot of us, it might be doing something on our business. It's like, well, I really want to get into sculpting, or start slinging some clay, is that what they say, or painting or whatever. But I know I should create a piece of content, or start to plan out my content, or do something like that, or try and find, something that will move my business forward. If we start with what's the hardest thing for me to do today, because by the way, I think in my experience, doing these hard things every day is going to create massive growth for you as a business owner and as a creative. So I like to think, well, what's that? If my week and my day doesn't at least have 1 or 2 hard things in it, I say to myself, excuse me, I'm challenging myself this week. And I believe that satisfaction and happiness in life, there's many different ways to look at happiness, but I believe that one of the best ways you can create happiness and satisfaction in your life is from challenging yourself and seeing growth and having something to work towards. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that when you're kind of learning your creative practice. The excitement of creating something that you're proud of is just amazing. So we want to start with the big frog. We want to go, what are my 3 big goalposts for the day? Because I think we can get lost in endless to-do lists. We were going, there's so much crap I could be doing. What should I be doing today? And I think if you look at this, and I'm going to give you all a couple of resources when Catherine's got them that I use with my clients to plan your week and plan your days, which will add to this. So what I kind of want you to think about is, let's say today's Wednesday. What's the hardest thing I've got to do? What are 3 big things I need to get achieved today? Because I think if we can say to ourselves, let's do 3 things, and 3 things mainly, not only, but 3 things today, then you can actually go, if I get these things done, I'm moving forward with my business, or I'm moving forward with who I am as a creative. Because I think if we don't do this, what can happen is we get stuck with this endless to-do list of crap, and we just start to kind of cross things off on Google Keep, or it's in a bit of paper next to your computer, or we don't have a list at all. We just go, whatever happens, happens. When you're thinking about your 3, and I'm going to explain how you can kind of break this down in a sec, one of those things should be, what am I doing to work on my business? And it might say, let's say if you're an artist, I'm going to work on that. Oh, now I've got to spell commission. I'm a pretty good speller, but things with them 2 M's and 2 S's are confusing for me. I'm going to work on that. I'm commission for my for some client, for example. I'm going to do an hour's work on a personal piece that I can sell at my gallery, and I need to spend 2 hours on that, saying 2 hours on this. And I'm also going to do 1 job that's on my business, which could be, I'm going to work on my social media strategy, or I'm going to start to prepare that pitch for something, or I'm going to work on a submission for some funding, and that might be 2 hours. It's a simple idea, and I'm going to show you how to kind of break it down even further than this. But I think if we start with 3 things, we're doing really, really well. And I think the other, just some quick idea is, I think if you put some parameters around what your day, what your hours are, that really helps as well. And I heard a really good metric, which I use in my business, which is, you've got about 6 good hours of work in you a day, even though, and if you're doing this in part-time, this would change. But if you're a full-time artist, you might say, well, I'm going to work from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 until 2 every day. Because what I found is, if we don't put a parameter around our work day or our practice, what can happen is it never ends, and we never feel like we get enough done. And if we give ourselves too much time, and let's say you say to yourself, well, I've got 5 days a week to work on my art business or my creative business, sometimes having all that time is to your detriment, because you put things off and you let things go because I can do it tomorrow. So I think by at least saying to yourself, I'm going to work these hours for these days on my business, or if you're working part-time on your business, Tuesdays and Thursdays are my creative business evenings, when I start at 6 and I finish at 10, or whatever that might be for you after the kids go to bed. So having a few parameters is a big one around time. Having your top 3 each day. Doing the hardest thing first is another good one. But here's a really practical idea about how you can fill your week, which I think you'll all like, I hope. And if you don't, well, too bad. No, I'm sure you will. July says, I'm doing SEO's hard. Now I want to sketch a frog being kicked over a goalpost. Bryce, please do. I'd love to see that. Tinkering my website at 10 p.m. Cutting together a multi-day job with lots of footage, promotion. It's not about the work. Editing, yeah, I know what you mean with editing. That's one thing I need to outsource. Financial things, negotiate terms with a client. Yeah, that's always a hard one, eh? So what should I be doing in my week? And this is the $1 million question. What should I be doing in my week? What should be the breakdown for me of my week? I think to keep it simple, we can talk about wearing 3 hats as a business owner. And I think if we think about it in this way, it can keep it quite simple. So if you're doing this along with me, please, what we want to do is we want to have 3 columns like this. Let's make it a bit smaller so you can see. So that's actually, what does it actually look like? I don't even know what that looks like. It looks like it could be a pot lid, but actually it's, I'm just going to say that is, we want to think about 3 hats. And the first hat we want to wear is our beret. This is our creative hat. So if you were to kind of canvas your week and go, what does my weekend look like? We want to think about going, what are all the jobs I do in my week that are creative, which are in this case working in my business, all the things I do to deliver work, which could be, I go an artist example. Please list off at least 5 here as we go through this. So painting, if I'm a painter, sketching ideas, or kind of doing lots of thumbnails for ideas, perhaps. Doing things like buying materials. What are all the things you do in your week that add up to things to create the work itself? Are looking for inspiration, for example, right? All the things are stretching your canvases if you do that yourself, what are all the things you do to deliver the work as one hat. So part of your week is going, I'm a creator, I'm spending time I'm in my business making stuff. Now the second hat you want to wear in your week is your business hat or your entrepreneurial hat. So if we think this is a creative hat, you have an entrepreneurial hat. Now, this is when you work on your business. So what are all the things, when you look at your week, you should be able to canvas it and go, what am I doing this week to work on my business? Is it content creation? Is it networking events or gallery openings? Is it working on my business plan? Is it visiting galleries or reaching out to gallery owners or reaching out to agents or finding people online to connect with, or reconnecting with old colleagues who could help you, or that kind of thing, right? So what are all the things you're doing to work on your business? And it could be a website too, by the way, which I think there was you mentioned that, Bryce. So if you think about it like this, what am I doing to make the work? And what am I doing to make it better? And I don't mean the work, I mean my business. What am I doing to make my business better now and in the future? So you should have at least a couple of those things in your week, each week. Does that make sense, everybody? Let's have a thumbs up, team. Just make sure. No wonky thumb. There we go. And the last one is, and what hat do I use for this? I can never remember. It's the most boring hat in the world. Let's say it's oh, you know what it's going to be? It's a fedora, because those hats aren't cool, I have to say. This is he's not sad. This is your, and I haven't come up with a better term for this. This is your admin hat. So part of your week should also be admin, and I would class things like invoicing, doing taxes, doing your spreadsheets on your taxes, perhaps. This stuff is stuff that has to be done. But in my opinion, it's not as important or shouldn't be as prioritized as this this hat in the middle, which is all the stuff that's actually going to help you improve your business. Doing taxes, yeah, maybe you can pay less tax, and that's great. Doing your spreadsheets, maybe that gives you more peace of mind that you have money aside for tax and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is important, but I think this is the stuff we get stuck on doing because it's easy to do. And we think, wow, I've done my taxes, I've done all that stuff, I've done a spreadsheet of my expenses and stuff, and that's great. It's important, but I feel it's the stuff we do when we're avoiding doing this stuff here in the middle. I know I have done that in the past, and I know that for sure. I've done my reconciliations or something really mundane. And the question to ask yourself is, in most cases, could I outsource this to somebody else at a low cost if I had to? In most cases, these types of activities you could, whereas these ones in the middle are ones you should be doing. So practically, to finish off on this idea, you've got 3 hats in your week. You need to be thinking, when am I spending time on each? And one practical thing you could do, and I'm not going to do a demo because we haven't got time, is use something like Google Calendar, which I do. And I would break down, and I would break it down to 3 like I've done here. And I would list off all the things I do as a creative, all the things I do to work on my business as an entrepreneur, and all the things I have to do in my admin. And I would color code them, and I would set up in Google Calendar, and I would go, when am I making time for my, let's say, blue stuff's creative? When am I making time for my growth stuff, which is green, for example? And when am I making time for my admin and bits and bobs, which is gray? Because, yeah, it's gray. Does that make sense, everybody? So that's just a really practical idea to get you thinking about how you can spend your week more productively. And as I said, we could go a bit deeper on this, but the idea is that each of you has a very different business. And so we have to be a little bit broad with how these ideas all work together. I'm just going to fix this up. I just want to know, was that useful, everybody? Was that a useful conversation? Yes. Oh, good. Thank you, everyone. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this guy. Sorry. I'm going to come back over here for a sec. So 3 things, 3 hats. That is a nice way to structure your week. What else we got? Oh, and just to kind of finish off from that idea, when you're looking at these jobs and you're going, where should each of them sit? As I said before, the question to ask yourself is this a $25 an hour task that I could pay someone to do if I had to? Or is it a $250 an hour task that I should do myself, could do myself, which is doing the work you have to do, showing up to meet clients and prospective clients, going to events and promoting yourself, all that stuff you have to do, tech stuff, admin stuff, that's all important, but that, in my opinion, should come last, still be done, but come last, because you could pay someone if you had to do it for you, right? Cool bananas, says Ingy. Cool. One more idea for you on this. And we've spent a bit of time on this, but I just wanted to give you something really hopefully clear and useful around that, which is, let me bring back my window here. I'm bookending your day. Now, this is a really good kind of practical way to plan out your day. So if we talk about this, does anyone know when I say the word bookending, what that means? Anybody? Anybody? No? Oh, that's cool. That's totally fine. It's really just going, my day should have purpose and intention. Yep, that's part of it. Nane, that's part of it. Purpose and intention. But I think a big part of it is reflection. You know, I think part of it is actually reflecting on what we've done, what we've achieved, and being really grateful for the fact that we have this in our life and we can do it for ourselves. So bookending is very simple. You start the day with a purpose and intention. What are my top 3 things I want to achieve today? When am I going to work for? What's my timeline for the day? I'll start at this time and I'll finish at this time, because otherwise it will drag out and you will be on your website at 10 o'clock at night doing edit, even though it's fun. But if we are restrictive with our time frames, we end up getting a lot more done. Yep, that's it, Christoph. What's the hardest thing? And often it's the most important. We want to start the day with this plan. Super simple. And there's a few more bits and pieces to this, as I said, with the resource I've given Catherine. She'll share that with you. So we start the day here. Can you see that? You can't really read my writing, but it doesn't matter. And then we want to finish the day with intention. And I have found in my life, in my business, that doing this means that there's actually an end to the day. And that's important. We can't just let the day meander on. I think we have to have, this is just what I do. I mean, you don't have to do this. You may not agree with this. That doesn't really matter. This is just what works for me, and this is why I'm sharing it with you. I like to have a ritual that I do at the end of the day. For me, I use a planner, and my thing to end the day is I close that book. And I do my reflection and I close the book. And that says to me in my brain, that day is done. I can now go and spend time with my kids, my wife, and do other stuff, right? So here's how I end the day, and I hope this helps you. What did I get done today that I'm proud of? This is the kind of thing that, you can start doing and it works, and then we get busy and we stop doing it. But I've been doing it for about almost 5 years now, and I know it's changed how I see my business and my practice, because the reason for doing this is because we want to retrain ourselves to look for the positive things in our day. We want to retrain our brains to look for the positive and not for the negative. So what did I get done today that I'm proud of? I'm going to give you an extra one too. What did I get done today to move my business forward? And this is like, if you think about it, like they're kind of similar questions, but here you might want to say to yourself, well, I did that a piece of content I've been putting off, or I fixed my website, or I did something that I know is going to help me in the future. What did I learn? / what could I improve upon? So what was an insight I had in my day? What didn't work? And the question to ask yourself is, what worked really well and what didn't work? And it could be, I completely shat myself when I talked to that client and it sucked. I just didn't know how to handle it, and I was sweating and it was awful. And so I need to prepare better for those calls. Or I had a great call with a client and I asked them that really great question, or I felt I held myself really well because I prepared, for example. So you're constantly going, what do I need to work on? Yeah, what did I learn and improve upon? And what's important for tomorrow? And the reason we do this, and this is my last big idea, and then I want to hear some of your thoughts. Exactly, Bryce. Exactly, man. And that's the thing. And sorry, Bryce has said here, I too often in my days feeling frustrated what I didn't get done. And I think part of that is because we try and get too much done. And I used to do this. I used to have Google Keep, and I had this huge to-do list, and I would just go tick, 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 tick. And it would just constantly be growing. And I'd go, I never get any of this shit done. It just grows and grows and grows. But now doing this top 3 thing, doing the reflection thing that I've been doing for years, you actually go, well, I can't achieve everything in one day. And I have to be comfortable saying, if I do these 3 big ones, these are going to, for lack of a better term, move the needle for me. And then I have to also be comfortable going, some days I just can't finish that whole thing. I just have to do as much as I can and go, well, I got 3/4 of the way through that job or that project and I can finish it tomorrow. But otherwise, we are working late. We aren't prioritizing our health and our mental health and stuff we've got to do outside of work too. So that's a really great point, Bryce, and Lisa. And honestly, I used to feel that way. And the solution, in my experience, is having a plan around your day in the morning. There we go, I'm frozen again. Doesn't matter. Having an attention behind what you're getting done and saying, I can't get everything done. I just have to stick to what I can get done. What's important for tomorrow is important for us to end on. And the reason we do this, team, and we're going to have a quick break in a minute, and I want to know your best ideas before we do that, is the reason we need to do this is because, as I said at the very start of the call, no one else is going to is going to pat you on the back for your good work. You haven't got a boss saying, good job, mate. You did an awesome job today. You're going to feel like you haven't made progress a lot of the time, but that's often because we're not stopping to reflect on what we have gotten done in the day. And it's not always about achieving huge things. It's not going, I signed a $10,000 client or I sold a $5,000, $10,000 painting. It's about going, well, I did that piece of content. I did that piece of outreach. I did that networking event that got me an opportunity, because no one else is going to do it for you. You have to be the one to reflect and go, I'm making progress. Because as soon as you hit that goal that you've thought about when you've started your PDPs, you'll go, well, that was okay, but I expected that to, well, I didn't expect that to happen. It happened because I did all the shit right. Now I've got another goal. So we have to stop and go, let's look at what's happening along the way. So everybody, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and I want to hear your best idea from today so far, or if you have a question for me. Exactly, Lisa. It's a simple idea. And, you might have heard these ideas before. You might have heard a variation of these ideas before. But the reason I'm sharing them with you is because doing what you're doing and what I do is a huge leap of faith. And it's the best course, and this is a great piece of advice I heard. It's the best course in personal development you'll ever do. And that's what it should be. Because I believe if life is too easy, it's not as fun and it's not as fulfilling, And we all have different definitions of that, but that's just what I reckon. All right, team, I just want to hear your best ideas or any questions into the chat. 2 minutes, I'll read through them, and then we'll have a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and get into some chat about cash flow, finding clients, and pricing. I like that, Bryce. I think it's nice to plan your week. And I think the way that I do that, and I learned this from a great mentor I worked with, called him Alex Sharfin, a coach actually, he wasn't a mentor, was what could I get done today? Wasn't text up. What could I do? What are all the things I could do this week? Things I could do. And then what are all the things I will do? And then what happens is you've got this, and this is kind of like your to-do list, but then you're actually practically going, all right, here's what I'm going to do this week. And if you have a book for this, that's great. And then so next week you can go back to this list over here and you can go, okay, what did I get done last week? I did this one, this one, this one, this one, which is that. So which of these am I going to put into this week's to-do list, or sorry, a will-do list? It's a nice way to think about it, because then you've got 2 lists and it's not going, these are all the things I could do. Where do I bloody start? I don't even bloody know, right? All right, team, I'll shut up now. I just want to know your best ideas or questions. Thank you. Hey, team, I would get you all to share, but I think for time, I might ask a couple of you to share if that's okay. As long as you're comfortable speaking on Zoom. I know some people are more used to it than others. But what I might do is I might get who would like to. Oh no, I'm not going to ask that question. I'm just going to choose someone as part of my aim to challenge you all a little bit today. So we're going to go Nicola and Victoria and Ruby, if that's okay. What was your best idea so far? I'll get rid of that timer. So Nicola, what was yours, please? And you're all muted, by the way.
Sorry.
You got it.
I thought, having time each day to focus on my business, I thought that was a brilliant idea because I don't do that at the moment. So allocating time every day to focus on my website, and then later on doing probably social media and all of those things, which is stuff that I don't do, which is exactly why my business hasn't been moving forward. So having that sort of structure in place, I think is going to be really, really brilliant for me.
Awesome, Nicola. I'm glad. And hopefully the stuff that I haven't shared with Catherine, that she'll share with you all is helpful with that as well, which is kind of more practical. It's a worksheet around that. So thank you.
Cool.
Victoria, what do you got? I can see your beautiful plants in the background, and you are muted too. Everybody's muted. So what was your best idea, Victoria?
I think mine was to make myself accountable for how I spend my time, and really asking the question, am I being productive, or am I just kind of tootling around the edges?
Yep, that makes sense.
That question at the end of the day, how much further along have I got than I was yesterday? Or have I just kind of middled around and had a think about stuff? Creating that structure and breaking up the day, and attempting to make myself accountable for how I do actually spend my time. I think that's my big takeaway so far.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that's important, because some days you just aren't going to get much done. It's not like hardcore like you're in the army and you're working every day, but I think if we are a little bit more restrictive on ourselves and a little bit more process driven, we'll get a lot done. Because let's face it, like a lot of creatives aren't, and a lot of artists aren't, and that's why there's that classic thing of e.g., well, like on one hand the starving artist, but I know from my experience with artist mates and also at my gallery, the artist who is totally disorganized, or the creator that's totally disorganized, and you go, well, I can't rely on them. And I know from experience, if you're an artist as well, when I spoke to my friend who sells my work at his galleries, I said, what do you look for in someone to represent? And he said, someone who's got a good practice. And part of that is obviously kind of process as well. But he said, part of it is someone who is reliable and does what they say and is accountable. And that's why we do this. So it's not all hardcore army shit or army stuff. It's, what I'm saying? It's at least having some structure. So thank you, Victoria. Ruby, have you got something for us, please?
Kia ora. Yes, the thing that I took from that was the reflecting at the end of the day, but also planning for the next day or the next week. I quite like the idea of getting in the zone before that next day or next week even starts, because sometimes you get to the beginning of the day and you're tired and you don't know what you're doing, but having the plan already there feels, like it's a bit more approachable and like you've already started your day well because you already have the plan there for you.
And somebody's going to go, Hayden, you're muted. Thanks, Ruby. I think so too. And I think really, and the idea I'm going to end on, and we're going to have a quick break just from 5 minutes, is that the anxiety we feel when we come into our work day and go, where do I start, is real. And especially, and you probably haven't felt this if you've ever been on holiday and come back to either work or working for yourself and gone, where do I even start? I mean, like I've just had a break. I don't know where to start. And you go, shit, what should I do? And you start feeling anxious about it. Yes, exactly, Lisa. So the best way to combat that is to actually have a weekly plan. Like you said, Ruby, reflect on what you're doing and always think about it like this. And this is one final idea because I can't bloody help myself. One more idea. Sunday, what am I doing tomorrow? You know, actually, have a plan. You could do your weekly plan on a Sunday. You could do it first thing in the morning, because I know when I do my plan in the morning, I feel that in relief of going, right, I can go back and enjoy my coffee, hang out with the kids for half an hour and come in and know exactly what I'm doing first. You know, so if you think one side of that, and before we go to break, is on in, what am I doing on? What am I doing in? It's a very simple concept. You can also ask yourself, what am I doing to make things better now? Which could be, what am I doing to create a new opportunity for myself now? Which could be content creation, could be a networking, it could be an outreach, it could be stuff that's going to help you make some money perhaps now. And what am I doing to make things better for the future? And that could be to make things better, make better future, right? And that could be things like my website, which I will have an immediate effect if you do it right, of course, but, or it could be your onboarding or your process for delivery of your stuff. You know, what am I doing to make things better right now, and what am I doing to make things better in the future? Is a nice way to think about and to split up two parts of the on your business stuff, which could be, this is more kind of strategic stuff. This is probably too much for today, but just a little thought for you all. This is more kind of strategic, and this might be more kind of tactical, which means this is more a long-term plan, and this part up here is more finding something to make me money right now. All right, team. I hope that was useful. Heaps of good ideas in the chat. We're going to take a 5-minute break. I've only got a 3-minute timer, so I'm going to put on 3 minutes. But if we come back at, let's say, 11:05, and we're going to start to talk about cash flow. We're very exciting. Live in person workshop. So let's talk about cash flow. Can't seem to get mine to work. If it's broken, Lisa, that's fine. Just kind of do your best. Cash flow. We're going to talk a little bit about cash flow now. I'm going to spend a wee bit of time on this, and then we're going to move on to some more practical stuff. First idea I have for you is we have to make sure that we stay in control of whatever we're doing. And the thing is, being a business owner, you'll have other people telling you how you're going to get paid for your work. Now, as I said, you've all got very widely, you know, there's a real mix of different types of profession here today, so I can't give you specifics. But what I can say is the overarching idea behind this is you need to set the terms of how you want to get paid. And the sooner you start doing that as a business owner, the better it will be for you. And this kind of plays into this idea of, which is a bigger idea, which is going, we can have that tendency to feel like we owe something to the client because they've taken a chance on us, or they've spent money with us, or they've taken some, in our minds, a risk, perhaps because we don't feel like our stuff is worth that much money, or we don't feel like, you know, we're shocked when the client goes, yes, we'd like to buy that or go ahead with you. And so we feel like, and I'm sure you've all felt this way. I know I have. We feel like we owe something to the client to say thank you. Imposter syndrome. Yep, that's it. It's why we think everything has to be perfect. It's why we wait for the right conditions to even sell our work or to approach. I have to wait until my portfolio is like this to approach an agency or to approach a gallery or whatever. It's just fear. And it's uncertainty, and it holds us back. So we have to start taking control of what we're doing. And it just comes down to saying to the client, here's how I want to get paid, or here's my policy, here's how I run my business. When it comes to cash flow, if we let our clients and our customers pay when they want, and you might have a business where they pay straight away, so that's fine. But when the money comes in, really does matter. because if you've got $5,000 coming in 6 months time, or $10,000 coming in 3 months time, but you've got $0 in your account today, well, you've still got to pay your lease on your studio, your mortgage, or your rent, all that stuff in the meantime. So as a business owner, you need to know when the money's coming in. So when it comes to setting payment terms, you need to have things like a terms of trade, which perhaps you don't want to think about just yet, but at least go, how do my clients pay for my services or my work? Is it half? And into the chat, please, I'd love to know, do you all take a deposit when you're starting a new job for a client? Because if you're a service-based creative, I suggest you at least have a start work payment and then a second half before you deliver the final files. Or you pay it in phases, or they pay it in phases, which could be AK kind of milestones. So your clients pay you as the project progresses, or if the project stretches over a couple of months, they pay a third on the front end and a third at the start of the second month, and then a third at the end of the second month. For example, we just have to realize that if we don't set the payment terms, the clients will. So if it's 7 days paid in full, half and half, a third, whatever that is for you, especially if it's for things like commission paintings and things like that, you want to have some skin in the game from the client, some money down, and not just going, well, now I feel insecure because the client doesn't like it. It's going to be hard for them to pay for it, isn't it? Cost of materials, 20% upfront. Always contract terms signed before I start any work. Yes, awesome. Sometimes paid in halves or phases. Yes, especially if you have to rent camera gear, etc. Obviously, you will all get paid, hopefully, if you're doing a service in that way, either on completion or time-based invoicing, usually every fortnight of work completed. That's fine, as long as you set the payment terms for the client. Simple idea, but it's important. But just remember, we aren't stealing from clients. We are doing a service for them. And you have to think that it's an equal balance of stuff, because even the most experienced creatives I know and work with still feel at times like they're doing their clients a big favor. No, hang on, sorry. They feel like their clients are doing them a favor by paying for their work, when in reality, you're doing just as much for your client as they're doing for you by paying you. Plant seeds now. So if you want to be hatching cute little, beautiful little chickens like this in the future, and you want to work on your cash flow, and you've ever said to yourself, I just wish I could get consistent cash flow in my business. I wish I could get $5,000 every month or whatever. You need to plant seeds now. And the idea behind that is, like I said at the very start, what we do now compounds. So if you want work, let's say today's April 24th, you want work in June, you should be looking for opportunities now to fill your pipeline. We haven't got time to talk about pipelines. I don't think it's really kind of necessary, but what I really kind of mean by that is talking to people about your work now, approaching galleries, reaching out, and perhaps in your case, Bryce, reaching out to people who could give you work now, because I think we have this idea that when the client needs the work, they'll come to us, or it's just being there at the right time, which it is. But for you all, plant seeds now means I'm looking for opportunities now, because I know if I say to myself on the 24th of May, I need work tomorrow, and you haven't done this, you'll be stuffed. So look for work before you need it. And that plays into the idea of going, what am I doing on my business this week? What am I doing to create a new opportunity for myself in the future? Who am I talking to today? Is it a gallery owner? Is it a potential client? Is it an agency owner who could give me overflow work in the meantime? Is it starting a relationship with another creative so we can partner on something in the future? You can't expect results straight away, so we want to plant seeds and look for them. One simple idea, and I'm not going to workshop this on my iPad with you, because it's just a simple one, is I think you need to think about what your minimums are. So can I have a hands up from the group? Who knows what they need to make every single month to pay all their personal expenses and all their creative expenses as a break even? Yep, Shane, awesome, thank you. Sarah, I see a few of you. If we know, Ingrid, yep, not sure. Ruby, I see a few of you saying, yes, that's good. We just need to know what our minimums are. And this is something you might do with your mentor. But what I mean by that is if you can work out what your break even is, hey, Lisa, that's okay. You should know this anyway in your personal life. How much do I need to bring in each month to pay my mortgage, my rent, or my rent, or my et cetera, my bills? If you know that number, that can be your first goal. It can be like, well, or for example, if you're in a job as well and you want to transition out of that job and you go, well, I'm making, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 bucks in the hand every month, $1,000 a week or more or less, I don't know. My first goal would be, can I replace my income, half my income from my creative practice? So let's say, can I make $2.5 grand a month? My second goal could be, can I make $5 grand a month? And then you go, well, then I've replaced my salary or my hourly rate or my work stuff, sorry. And then you go, well, my third goal could be, can I replace it 3 months in a row? Start to build up my nest egg, as it were, or my cash in the bank. And then say, well, if I've done it 3 months in a row, that's my 3 month, that's my monthly run rate. I can make 5K a month 3 times in a row, which says that I can probably do that for potentially 6 months in a row and then 12 months. What I'm saying to you is if you start with knowing how much you need to make at a minimum, that's a good place to start. And that's your baseline. So you need to go, this pays from everything every month, and anything over and above can be used for reinvesting or profit or whatever that might be. You can't control your clients. And this is another high level idea. And look at that guy in a suit. He looks so crap. You can't control your clients, which means you can't control when your clients need you. You can't control them. We can't control our clients' activities and our potential clients' actions. We can't force anyone to do anything. You can't force anyone to buy from you, even though people might teach you that you can, you can't. And I've learned this after many, many years doing sales. You can only control your activities. So this is why we have to treat our creative practice and our creative business like a business. We have to go, what am I doing on? What am I doing in? And you're saying, Hayden, well, I've already heard that idea before. This is just different ways to kind of look at the same idea for you all, because I'd rather you take away 1 or 2 great practical ideas and some mindset shifts, hopefully, that'll change how you see it. Because it doesn't have to be so, if you will, like, let's say, pink on the creative side and blue and gray on the business side. It doesn't have to be like that. It's not all about capitalism and making stacks and stacks of money and all that stuff. But what it is, and the reason you're doing Wayfind and you're here today is because you want to have more control, feel in control, make something sustainable. If you can work on this, do your work, what that means for you is you can make more money, which means you can make more work, which means you can help more people, which means you can affect more people's lives. And that is the game of it, because if nobody knows who you are, that's fun. That's fine, because I create work for myself. I'm sure you all do too as well. And that's why we do it, not to make money. But if we want to make something sustainable and we want to make something for the long term, we have to start now. So we can't control our clients. All we can control is our actions, or our inactions in this case. Does that make sense, everyone? My clients are others, never have any money. Well, this is what we're going to talk about in a minute, Paloma. What do you do for your clients? Can you tell me? The mute is in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen if you can't find it.
I'll unmute.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you, Paloma. What do you do for your clients?
Photo and video.
For artists?
Dancers and musicians.
Okay, cool. Cool. And have you just started doing that? Or have you been doing it for a while?
No. 30 years.
Yeah. And has it always been with the same market? Has it always been with dancers and artists and musicians?
Different countries.
Different countries.
But they never have money.
Yeah, and I was going to say, this is something we need to think about with our target market, which we're going to talk about a little bit in a minute. If our clients don't have any money and that becomes a pattern, then we need to potentially, I'm not saying you should do this, I'm just saying this is what I know and something to consider. Do we need to pivot? Do we need to reassess who our target market is and who our clients are? Because if your clients can't afford you, or they can, but it's a very low price point, I'm not sure the situation, I'm not assuming anything, I'm just sharing what I've experienced, then that might be something for you to consider. Because if you want to make it sustainable and it's not, or you want to make more money and it's not, you know, your market has to have people in it who can afford you and see the value in you at the price point you want. Do you know?
Yeah. The thing is, because what I like, musicians and dancers, they don't pay. I've been having to find other jobs all my life, office jobs.
Yeah.
So that opens another spectrum in my career, in the way I see things. I like to work and I like to be productive, but it's time that I get paid for what I do the best.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I think,
but I want, yes.
And I think there probably are artists and musicians and dancers who can afford you, but perhaps it's finding them, you know, or perhaps it's going, well, can I create another kind of revenue stream in utilizing my talents that pays better, so I can have more time to create passion projects or create more work that's lower paid but's more creatively fulfilling. You know, these are the kind of questions you have to ask yourself. And when I started Pitcher Team, and I want to kind of come back and ask you all a question in a moment. When I started Pitcher, I'm an artist, so I was like, well, I can work with artists, but I knew that it would be harder to find artists who saw the value in what I did and also understood why it was important. So when you're thinking about who you're selling to, you know, your market has to understand where you fit into their ecosystem and have the money to pay you. So just something to consider, Paloma, but that's something you can have a chat about with your mentor too. Just a thought is all I'm saying, you know?
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So as you're all doing very different stuff, what I want to know into the chat from everybody is, what's one question you have about finding clients? And you may say, I don't know where to start, whatever it is for you. I just want to know into the chat, what are you stuck on when it comes to finding clients? I'm going to share some ideas and we'll go from there, because this is probably the chunkiest bit. Team, if you got a question, I'd love to hear it as a question and not a word or a statement. Just, I'm not sure about how to do this, or how could I approach this? Because part of your job as well is to self-coach yourself. So you need to know, what are the right questions I need to ask myself? And one way to do that is to go, here's my question, and if I had no one else to ask, what are two options that I could choose from? And, you know, also kind of remembering, if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. I'm a little old school. Okay. That's kind of a question, but that's okay. I get what you're saying, Nicola. How to approach them? How do I approach clients? It's a huge one. I find I lack confidence in selling myself. I always feel like I'm upselling. Okay. That will come in time. And it's also, I think, for you, what do you do, Ingrid? Can you unmute and share, please?
Yeah, so I just make like unusual decor. And I'll
Okay.
have people, they're usually my family or friends of friends, sort of vibes, or friends, acquaintances. And they'll be willing to like buy my stuff, but I always feel like I just lack confidence in my work and that I'm not like, but they're happy. They're like, no, let me buy it. And I'm like, oh, but you might not be happy. And that's like does hold me back and getting out there. Like, I just don't want to let anyone down, you know, like,
I know that
customer
feeling.
wise,
Yeah. And you know the answer?
believe in myself and believe in what everyone tells me, probably, like.
Yes. And just sell more shit, sell more stuff, because people wouldn't, it's a
You can
different.
always give them the money back and I can take my product back.
Yeah, exactly. But if you don't sell the thing, if you don't get the experience of selling a painting, of selling something for their home or whatever it is you'll sell, then you won't build up that muscle of going. Because I used to feel like that too. I used to be like, oh my God, I've spent $100 on my painting. I feel like I ripped them off. Or someone spent, I remember I sold one from $4.5 grand, and I was like, man, I feel like I ripped them off. I feel like I could have fixed up that bit, or done that a different color or whatever, or done the finish differently or whatever. But in reality, you just have to go, well, they paid a money for it. They obviously liked it. They don't see all the imperfections that I see. And if I don't sell it, I'll never get better at selling. So the answer is just do more of it. And the answer is just to go, I feel this feeling, but I'm still going to push through. And I'm going to look for more people who aren't my family, friends, and relatives, like you said, who buy my stuff, which then gives me more confidence. Because they wouldn't buy it if they thought it was a piece of shit. They would not buy it unless it was your mum, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll support you," which my mum does for me. So you've just got to go, this is the best work I can create at this stage in my career and my creative journey. I believe in it, because if you don't believe in it, and this is for everybody here, if you don't believe in your work at least enough to sell it to someone, then the person buying it or the person you're talking to can tell, and they'll kind of pick up on that. So you've just got to have a little bit of bravado going in there, a little bit of confidence you find from somewhere else, and just kind of get those first few through. Okay. I'll have a quick look at these team. I'm going to come back to something practical in a sec. I lack the confidence. I'm selling myself. I'm not sure where to start with them. Social media. The courage to approach them, a cold call. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not a big fan of cold calling, Bryce, but I think you can approach them clients warmly, using them social media. I'm using them LinkedIn, because it's not all about the hard sell on the front end, and it shouldn't be, because that's cold calling, as my dad used to say, is a symptom of not doing enough, like I'm networking and in relationship building, which is what you have to do. Because if it gets to the stage where we have to cold call, then perhaps we should have done more stuff on the front end. But if you're getting started, of course, that's a different kind of situation. And that's more about how can I approach clients on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, X, and start a relationship. My clients will be readers. My challenge is engaging, maximum audience, reciprocity. I'm starting looking at my target. Okay, heaps of stuff here. Heaps of questions. These are things you're going to dive into with your mentor. But the first place we have to start is, who do I serve? So I think one of the most important things to have to think about, and perhaps I'll just do a little bit of work on this if we can bring my there we go, it does work. In my words, well, in my world, we call it best future client. Now, for some of you, you're starting and you're going, well, I just want to get work in the door. I just want to get sales through. I just want to get money in. So I just want to do that. But we have to start at the top by going, who am I actually selling to? And the The thing with this is it becomes more apparent when you sell the stuff, because you start to see a pattern, like I've got a friend and he does online guitar lessons, and he found his market. I said to him, how did you find your market? And he's got like a multi-million-dollar business, and he said, they found me, So one way to think about it is, well, I put out content, or I put out some sort of kind of marketing material. I have a marketing plan where I promote my work and myself, and people find me, but that can sometimes take a while. But he said for him, my target market is dudes in the US who are like 40 to 60 plus, who were always kind of dabblers on guitar but never really learnt properly, and always dreamed of playing in a rock band on stage. So that's his market. But we need to know about who our best future client is, and the best way to think about that, well, this is a really kind of big idea, but just briefly, if you don't know, who do you think could use my stuff or services? Are they business or private? What kind of and you may have no clue, but you might say, what kind of income have they got? Well, if you're selling a service for, let's say, $5,000, then you might say, well, the business would need to be making $100,000 a year at least, for example. You might just be going, I really have no idea, so I'm not too sure. But then you might go kind of one level higher, and you go, if I think I'm selling my stuff direct to clients, let's say if it's painting, sculpture, who are the people one level above those people who have an influence on my buyers? So it could be gallery owners, could be curators, could be producers or influencers. Because really the question you want to ask yourself, and this kind of leads back to, and I don't want to go too far off track here. Oh, and sorry, actually, before I do that, I just want to kind of share with you. So who are the people that have an influence on my market if I'm selling to consumers or businesses? If you're selling to businesses, then it could be, what are 1 or 2 or 3 key core industries I want to start focusing on first. Could be food and beverage. Could be, let's say, health and beauty, or health and wellness, for example. One thing that I found is I worked with an actor, and she said to me, I need to get more work. And I said, well, who are the people that you should be spending most time with, which is the question you need to ask yourself. Who are the people in your network that you should be staying in touch with and talking to regularly? And she said, well, it's actually agents. I've got a few agents who have given me work in the past. Those are, for her, were people that she would keep in touch with. What are the other types of business who have given you work? And then what are the other, if you think, I work with this client, who are the other types of that client in your area that you should be reaching out and connecting with? So we need to know who are the people kind of one level above. We need to be a bit clear about a couple of buyers. If you're selling art, you could say, well, I think my work appeals to women in their 50s who are kind of semi-retired, who have a bit of cash to spend and want to beautify their home, for example. And then you have to go, and this is an important one, and this is where you have to take your best guess. Where are they spending time? Or where can I find them in groups? Where are they spending time? Because if you can do all of this and you can go, well, I think I'm working with businesses who are making at least this amount of money, I think it's easiest to find them on. So where do you think it's easiest to find them? It might be, say, LinkedIn, which I know a lot of kind of business owners are on LinkedIn. So you go, well, and then I know who are the people kind of one level above them. Could be agents, it could be casting agents, it could be curators and gallery owners, It could be industry bodies. Say if you create work, let's say for a product design or like a packaging design, you might say, well, I want to work with some sustainable companies, and above them you've got organizations like B Corp, etc. Right? Where are they spending time? Who are the people that actually give them advice or can have an influence on my clients? And what this will do for you, and you're probably kind of wondering, like what's the purpose of this? This is the very, very tip of starting to understand your target market. But what it should do then is tell you where is the best place to find them. And for most of us, it's going to be a social media channel and perhaps some networking. So LinkedIn for business, or X from business owners, generally, Instagram, and I would say Facebook if you're kind of selling art to private individuals. And there's also things like TikTok in that as well. I wanted to ask, who was it? Nicola, what is it that you sell again? Sorry. Oh, you're muted too. Everybody's muted.
More service based. So designing built-in cabinetry and interior finishes and that type of thing.
Yep. And who's going to buy that from you? Who's your target market?
A lot of private clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you design it and you actually get it made as well?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, manage everything. Manage the whole process. I can employ everyone involved. I have builders and cabinet makers and
Awesome. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So who are the people that would have an influence on your market then?
To be completely honest, architects, that would be hugely helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about interior designers and people like that? Or no, is it kind of too late stage in that? Or actually perhaps some commercial interior designers and things like that, or commercial designers?
I work with, I do a lot of hard fit out. So I have a couple of designers that I work with that do more soft fit out. So we will either share knowledge or collaborate, or I'll do half the job and they might do the other half because that's not really my area of expertise.
Okay, that's cool.
So
No, that's cool.
for sure that they could definitely give me work, designing the kitchen if they're doing the furnishing for a home. Yeah.
No, that's clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think really the bigger question from everybody here is, who do I want in my audience? Who do I want to see my work? And this is when you can start to put together a bit of a social media strategy in this case, because you can go, I want to make sure that I'm reaching out and following and connecting with architects or designers who do soft furnishings, for example, or people who have an influence on my buyers who might be at a certain, so that's what I'm saying. We need to start and understand who our market is. It's a bigger concept and it's kind of hard to teach because you're all doing different things. But if you just brainstorm, who do I think my potential buyers are? Where are they likely to spend time in my best guess? And who are the people that could have an influence on them? Then you've kind of got a bit of an idea of the type of content you want to create potentially. And that's something you talk about with your mentor. I know I do with a lot of mentees, but also how to get in front of them. So we need to know who we're serving. We need to be really kind of visible. And the idea behind that is, and we're getting really close to time, it goes so quickly. If nobody knows who we are, like I said to you at the start, then that's a real problem. And there's a lot of talk where people will say to you, oh, don't put too much pressure on yourself, which is fine. I don't want you to put pressure on yourself, but you need to consider that marketing your business is just as important as creating the work. So if you want to sell more work, you need to be visible. And I remember I went to a presentation years ago from Rod Drury, who started Xero. He's exited from the company now. He's left the company, did really well from it. But I remember he said to the group, I said, what would you say to a new kind of business owner who doesn't really have any clients, doesn't know what to do? How can I get like my name out there more? And he said, have an opinion on something and try and get yourself in a newspaper, or try and get yourself seen and more visible. The more visible you are, the more trust that will build with people, and you'll be front of mind with them. So what that really means for you practically is choose a social media channel and start to think about content. Even if you talk about it with your mentor, and have a plan around that. Have a way that you promote your work and go, I'm going to choose one channel to focus on just to start with, and I'm going to commit to doing 2 posts a week, 1 post a week, 3 posts a week, whatever that is for you. Because if people don't know who you are, they don't care. And that sounds kind of harsh when I say it, but it's true. And if people don't know who you are, they don't trust you. So you've got to get out there and put your work out there, and get noticed. I remember I had a great Wayfinder called Hamish I worked with, and he was trying to get his first exhibition. And he was like, how do I get noticed by these galleries? And I said, simple. Well, not simple. You need to start by doing something really simple, which is I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to follow that gallery. Super simple. I'll follow the gallery that I want to see my work. But I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to DM them, and I'm going to say, hey, I just found your gallery. I love the work you're doing. Hope you're having a great day. It's a simple idea, but this is really the crux of getting clients on social media. It's all about like creating viral content that gets you lots and lots of clients. That's great if you create a piece of content and you get a lot of followers. But if you're like kind of most of us, our job is to get noticed by our clients, right? So how do I get clients? Well, we have to build up know, like, and trust, right? Because we have to be there in front of mind when they go, I have a project that I need some help with. Perhaps it could be Nicola could help me, or Penelope or Lee, or whatever it might be. Or I'm looking for a new artist to showcase, and I know I work with sculptors and Wayfind, who've created beautiful pottery and built up relationships with architects around Auckland, for example, who have then put their work into buildings I've created and homes I've created and commercial things I've created, right? So you have to start with here. But when you're on social media, your job is to get noticed, right? And be visible. So how do you do that if you've got 50 followers, 10 of them are your family, 20 of them are your friends, and another 20 of them are just random bots? How do you do that? Well, you have to be consistent. So as I said, with your mentor, you're going to have a think about your social media plan, because what you want is content, and to keep it simple for you. This is a bit more than I usually teach today, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this and spend a little bit less on pricing, because I think this is way more useful for you all. We want to start with an introduction. Hi, so you follow someone or you connect with someone. You don't have to wait for them to follow you back. They may never follow you back unless you reach out and say, hi, hey, really, I love your work. I saw the recent show you did, or I'm really enjoying your content. I want to follow you. I look forward to seeing more of it. Thank you. Hope you're having a great day. You have to think about it like it's exactly like a networking event. You wouldn't say hi to someone and then walk away. You would ask them a question. You would engage with them, and that builds up the trust. So then they go, I've met Rose, or I've met Lisa, and I feel like I maybe kind of know them a bit more, so I might consider them for a job. We want to follow people that we want to work with, people that have an influence on our end clients. So if you're an artist, I would be going, what are all the cool galleries in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Sydney, Melbourne, whatever, that I want to follow, because I would love to show it at their gallery one day. Or direct clients. we want to ask ourselves, who do I want to be seeing my stuff? Who do I want in my audience? We can't wait for them to come to us. We've got to go to them, right? So that is the first part of it. And you might say to yourself, well, as a simple plan for me would be I choose one platform, I commit to posting, and I'll talk about content in a sec, 1 to 2 pieces of content a week. And then as part of my on business time, I'm going to find, let's say it's even kind of once a week, I'm going to find 20 good people to follow who could either buy my work or could sell my work or have an influence. And I'm going to send 20 to 30 DMs or even just some comment on their post. This is a simple concept. And when you hear people teach this, you go, wow, that's so simple. But it doesn't have to be uncomplicated. It's just going, I post content to back myself, and I network with people on social media. It's not some big weird thing. It's just talking to people. And I want to share with you just real quick, if you want to start thinking about your content, one way that I like to think about it is, and I don't have time to go through this whole thing, is one part of your content plan could be your finished work. That's quite straightforward. That's what kind of most of us post, right? So let's say work. There's a bit kind of more to it than this. And another part of your content plan is your process. So you're showing the proof and you're showing that you understand how to do your job. So it could be behind the scenes in your studio, sketching out an idea, doing a mood board, for example, setting up your kiln or whatever, sketching up a design for a kitchen or whatever, right? Now, if you're a business, if you're selling in B2B, which is to other businesses, you might have a third box. You might have a fourth one here, which for some of you won't be relevant, which is really about business stuff, where you talk about challenges, problems, issues, and outcomes you create and solve for your clients. But that's only if you're a service-based business who's selling to other businesses. But the last box here is me, you. What am I sharing to connect with my audience? And there's many different kind of ways to look at a social media plan, the types of content within each of these boxes. But what you got to think about is, I want to connect with my story. I want to connect with the audience at a human level. Part of that is your personal brand. But what are 5 things that are interesting about me? And it could be your 5 hobbies, for example. My family, or I'm a mum, or I'm a dad, perhaps. I'm a geek and I'm into Star Wars. I collect toys. I'm into books. I'm into fitness. If you're an artist trying to promote yourself, you know that one of the most important things to consider is why you've created the work in your story as an artist. So if you can show finished work, you can show your process, you can show who you are as a person, those are 3 really great buckets to start to think about. And if you do 2 posts a week, it's, you have to kind of think about what's going to be in the posts. But it's just a matter of doing a brainstorm. What are all the interesting parts of my process? How could I show that? It could be a still photo. It could be a short video. It could be a carousel, whatever. The practicalities are too big to talk about, but this is a place to start. We need to be visible. We need to be consistent. We need to do things consistently, not sporadically, which means if you're going to put a plan together with your mentor, it has to be consistent, because when you feel like it is not going to cut it for a business owner, honestly, when you feel like it is okay. If you've ever read The War of Art, he talks about the difference between being a professional and an amateur or a hobbyist. I know that you're all professionals here, and that's why you're doing Wayfind. So the idea is to do consistent work on your business, even when some days you don't feel like it, even if that means you have to do some painting or go for a run or do something fun before you do the work. You have to get strict with yourself and go, if I want to make change, I've actually got to pull my finger out and do consistent work, content, outreach, networking, not when I feel like it, but now, because I know that it will get easier the more I do it. And this is the thing. It's hard at the start, but the more you do this stuff, the easier it gets. And you go, well, it's not a problem anymore because I'm used to doing that. I'm networking, that outreach, that content, right? Can you post up that screen again? I'm sure, Nicola. And this is something you can do with your mentor, and you probably can't unread that. Yeah, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So we got work, process, me, and business. I like to think about it like this. If this is helpful for you, head. And this is, in your case, I'm Nicola, because I know you're selling to our consumers, but probably I'm also want to appeal to kind of some kind of business owners who might be able to give you work. What do I kind of get about my market? Showing your market, you understand them. It's like going, what's inside my head? The best type of marketing should feel like it comes from your clients' heads, or it's you're kind of finishing a thought that they have in your head. Sorry, I'm in their head. So it's the head. Why is it a good, smart decision to work with you? Heart is, how can I connect with the artist or the creator? And then hands is your process. Awesome, Nicola. That's a simple kind of way to think about it. I do that with my B2B clients, which is all of them. So yeah, that works. But you know, the idea is something you have to come up with yourself. All right, art as a business, we've already kind of talked about that. I want to quickly, I think we'll save that for another day. I want to quickly talk about a few ideas around pricing, and then we're going to finish up with our best ideas. I think we're on 12. Is that right, Catherine? Finishing up. Yeah.
Yeah, 12 or 12. I think I've booked till, let me double check. We could be up to 12:30, but yeah.
Okay, I think we'll finish up at 12 with best ideas, because I think that's a lot of stuff for people to take in. Thank you, everybody. When you're thinking about your business, and this is probably a more advanced concept than you probably need, so I'm just going to spend a few seconds on it. What I like to think about it is, actually, here's a better one. As my dad always says, actually, I'll do it like this. You need to be getting clients finding you. So this is why we do content. This is why we build relationships with people who have an influence on our market. So then you get more people coming to you as a result of activity you've done. We also want to get work, which is called outbound, which means we need to go and talk to clients. If it's going on LinkedIn and I'm adding 10 architects who you'd love to work with and saying, hey, architect, great to meet you. Hope it's okay to reach out and connect. We want to be able to go and find work. If it's cold or warm, I'm DMing. If it's cold or warm, selling. You know, this is stuff that we can control. And the last way to get new clients is organic. So if you think this is direct outreach, and by outreach, I mean picking up the phone, I'm emailing someone, I'm DMing someone. Inbound is stuff that comes to you. We want to have a way to do that, which is our content. And then lastly, organic. Anything that comes to us, which is kind of generally more word of mouth, more stuff that we haven't had a big influence on apart from doing good work. But really, all the stuff that comes to you, the word of mouth stuff, the repeat work from customers, should be the icing on the cake. The work that you're all going to do to start to promote your business is what you generate. That is the work that you're going to do to find clients yourself. That's a great idea, Bella. All right, team, I'm going to actually kind of finish up a little bit early today because I'm running out of steam, and I'm sure you all are too. We're going to talk really kind of briefly some stuff around pricing. Now, I'm not going to answer specific questions around how you should price your work because that's way too deep to talk about today. But I want to share with you some concepts around this to get you thinking about that. Because some people will say $50 is too expensive, and some will say $50 is nothing. 1,000 is too expensive. Some people will say a logo design is worth 400, 500, 100, 1,000, 20,000, 60. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ideas on it. So we aren't going to waste time on that today. What I want you to think about is this idea here. Price is what they pay. The value is what they get, and the cost is what they avoid. Which is really to say that when we use language to talk about our stuff, we can't use the wrong words. It's going to cost you this much. This is how much it costs. It's absolute bullshit because the cost is what they avoid. What does it cost you to go with someone cheap, or to buy a painting that you hate, or to use a graphic designer who wastes your time? The cost is what they avoid by working with you. The price is what they pay. But if you want to think about it like this, what they spend with you is an investment, because even if they're buying work for their home or painting from you, they're investing in something. It's going to make them feel better about themselves. There's something emotional in it for them. They get something from the transaction with you. So the price is what they're giving you. That's in the money they're paying. The value, which is often worth 10 times more what they're paying, is the value is what they get, and the cost is what they avoid. So don't mistake this by saying it's going to cost you this much, or by saying I'll send you a quote. It should always be a proposal. Quote gets people thinking money and time, and proposal gets people thinking about outcomes, right? Cost is what they avoid. If you're too cheap, and I've seen this a lot, if you're too cheap, especially if you're offering a service, I see this a lot with graphic designers, illustrators, web developers who are selling a website for $500. You'll probably sell a good amount of volume, maybe, but people will see you as being a commodity. If you're an artist and you're selling your work too cheap, or if you're an artist that has your work at a cafe, that's quite this is just my opinion. If you put your stuff in the wrong spot, or if you underprice your work, people will make a judgment on that and go, well, I don't see the value in that, or it's too cheap, it can't be that good. We want to be seen as unique. So I guess what I would say to you is, the idea I have around that is, don't be too cheap either. You want to be seen as a bespoke solution. You want to be seen as unique. And you have to remember that if we spend too much time comparing our work to others, or going, oh, well, they would charge them this much and they're way better than me, and I could never charge close to that, because we're going to be stuck in comparisonitis for our whole career. So the idea is, my dad always buys cheap sunglasses. I'm actually going to buy him some new ones for his birthday, some good ones. But he always says to me, I say, hey, Dad, I'm going to buy you some new sunnies. And he goes, no, because I'll just break them or lose them. But I said to him, if you spent $300 on those as opposed to $20 at the Z station, do you think you take better care of them? And he says, yes, because they'll be more valuable to me. So we can't be too cheap. People will go, you're just a plastic toy, whereas I could spend $5,000 on this one of 100 cores, right? So don't be too cheap either. Bryce has said, I use the word estimate a lot, but then it ends up being the final price, even though the word itself means something. I'm not locked down. We could offer a range if you don't, or a ballpark between X and Y is always quite good. Yeah, it depends. And there's a whole kind of bunch of questions around that too. So, okay. So it's a couple of ways to think about your pricing. One way to think about it is, I think about, if you're an artist and you're doing big work, you can price by the square meter, which is what a friend of mine does when he does murals. which is aside from this. If you're a service-based business, you can do them hourly plus profit, which essentially means you work out internally how many hours, give or take, it's going to take you, and then you slap on 20 or 30% on top of that for a profit, which is just an arbitrary number, but it's a number that you go, well, I know I've done 10 hours at $100 an hour, which is $1,000, plus I get an extra 200 on top, right? So that's kind of one way to think about it. If you're unsure how long a project's going to take, or a job's going to take, or a painting, what it's going to take, you need to offer a ballpark between X and Y, where X is your lowest, you would do the job for, and Y is a really high estimate, knowing it may come in the middle. That's one way to think about it as well. Or you have to get someone to pay you to scope it, and you're actually going to work out more clearly how long it will take. Some people price based on projects and packages, which I think is just another way of framing hourly plus profit. So you go, most logo design jobs or brand identity jobs or visual identity jobs with one logo and a submark and a secondary logo and other collateral cost. Oh, sorry, the investment for that is $2,500 or $3,000, and that's what you present to the client. Because if you don't, by the way, everybody, if you say it's going to take me X amount of hours, or if you kind of break down in your invoice all the jobs that you're going to do and how much each one costs, you've got a much higher likelihood of the client kind of pushing back and going, why are you charging that much for that? I'm confused. What's this thing and why is it $150? So if you kind of present it as a package and go, I'm all inclusive, it's X, it's much easier for the client to digest, and it doesn't get into questions around hourly rate and all that kind of crap, which you don't want to think about. If you're selling art, I think the best way to kind of start to think about your pricing is to talk to other friends about how they price their work. In the Wayfind, there's a huge group, and we have a Facebook group as well, where you can ask other people who do the same thing as you, how much, or where would you start, or how much did you charge when you started making this, when you started doing your paintings? How did you price it? Did you do it based on how long it took you? Did you come in low to start with to make some sales? When it comes to selling creative work and art like that, it's harder to price. So my recommendation is always talk to people and actually get a bit of an idea of what other people at your level and perhaps people ahead of you are charging. Also, if you're selling in a gallery, you can talk to the gallerist and go, how would you price this? Because what they will do, and this is what I've found, is they will price it based on other work they've seen that's similar at the same stage as you as a creative. And also they'll start to, and I know that mine does this, he would rather, and I'm sure you'd be the same, you'd rather kind of sell something than not. So my gallerist, he helps me to go, well, I think it's worth this. I think if we sold it for X, it would sell faster. So then you can decide that yourself. The other idea is value-based, which we're not going to jam on today. But if you're selling a service, one of the ways you can price is you can find out from the client how it's going to affect their business. How's it going to affect their bottom line? How's it going to improve their business? How's it going to help them avoid a loss? Find out some numbers and some ideas around that. And then you can say, well, I estimate, and this is a huge idea. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's not really kind of relevant to most of you yet, but I estimate that the return on this project could be anywhere from 50 to 100K or 100K to 200K. So then you feel good about either charging the price you were going to charge anyway because you have a clear estimate of what they're going to get out of it, or you can then say to yourself, well, I think a fair investment in this is potentially 10% of what they're going to get. There's a lot of different ways to think about pricing, and that's why I don't want to go too deep into it today. But I have accidentally. What's the real value? And these are the last some couple of ideas. People don't invest in you for fun. They want to get something out of it. If it's buying art, if it's buying sculpture, if it's buying songs, or you're a service provider, whatever, people want to get something out of it, and they don't just blow money for fun. So we have to think about this, and we have to, and if we end on anything, I just want to share with you that we need to understand that it's fair what you're doing. You're not ripping people off. If people didn't see the value, they would not give you money. You're not somehow pulling the wool over their eyes. You're not like going to get found out one day, unless you are a total charlatan as a charlatan, even though a lot of us feel that way. We go, one day, people are going to go, oh shit, and the penny's going to drop. For most of us, it's just imposter syndrome, which is really the most detrimental thing as a creative, because we are creating a lot of value within the work we do. And if we let imposter syndrome hold us back, we're stuck, and I'm trying to be a perfectionist. We're stuck trying to get our portfolio right until it's right. We're stuck not doing anything, and we feel like we're stuck in a box or frozen, not taking any action because we're too afraid that it's not going to work. But if I leave you with any idea, it's just the idea that there's no guarantee that what you're doing is going to create the outcome that you want, but the joy of doing it is just the growth you'll see from it. And instead of kind of focusing every day on, am I going to be where I want in 5 or 10 years' time, focus on what you're doing today by bookending your day, by focusing on the process, and just by saying to yourself, hey, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but I know I'm going to be a better, stronger, more clever, more onto it person at the end of it. So some ideas I'm going to leave you with, and then I want to hear your best ideas, is wear 3 hats. That's important. Break your business to 3, and I'm keep it simple. When money comes in is important. So know your minimums, know how much you need to make, and know that you're in control of when you get paid. Be visible in the market. You have to be seen. If nobody knows who you are, just like a real estate agent, if nobody knows who you are, it's going to take you a long time to get to where you want to be. So get seen in the market. And the simplest way to do that is just to think about a marketing plan and get on social media channel and stick to it. 2 posts a week. If I can do that for 30 days, I can do it for 60, for 90, for 120, etc. Take the marketing side seriously. That's a real big one. If that's even just I'm going to and I'm opening every week. It could be the one opening you don't go to, where that great person is there that you miss out on. I know I had a great Wayfinder, and they went to an opening which they didn't want to go to, but I encouraged them to go, and they went and they met a producer who helped them make a connection, which meant that they got a project for their production company, right? And I won't say kind of what type of work they do, but she was almost, I'm not going to go to this event, because she was too shy and unsure what to do. I encouraged her. We talked about it. She did it, and she got an opportunity. So don't underestimate that. Make it a priority. And don't undervalue your work, because if you don't value the work, or if you price it too cheaply, people are just going to see it as cheap and a commodity, whereas you want to be seen as a unique artist, even when you're getting started, even when nobody's kind of buying it, still don't be bargain basement prices, because people have a perception. I'm sure you all would agree with me that you would see or you would feel that, let's say like let's say a Mercedes G-Wagon, see, like, in our perception is more valuable or better quality, or it's just better than I don't know, what's a shit car these days? I don't know, than an old banged up a Mazda, even though they both might kind of run the same, they both might be unreliable, right? But because that G-Wagon's like $300,000 or something, and the Mazda's like 5, we have this perception that's a better quality. So your positioning in the market matters, and that means value your work, even when it's a bit of a stretch. I see a lot of action here with Instagram handles. Guys, I want to make sure you stay focused on this. We can talk about that later. I want to know from each of you, what was your best idea from today? What you liked about today. I'm going to put some sounds on. I'm going to put them 3 minutes in the chat. I just want to know, what was your best idea from today?